Recently, there's been a tragic shooting in a Texas church, and the NRA has been spinning this as a victory. Here's the thing, though. If more guns make us safer, why doesn't the NRA allow guns at CPAC, or the Republican National Convention, or the White House? After all, more guns, more safety, right? Here are the facts. The American Journal of Medicine has done a study on this, and they found that U.S. homicide rates are 7 times higher than other developed countries, and the gun homicide rate is 25.2 times higher. This is why CPAC doesn't allow guns, the Republican National Convention doesn't allow guns, and the White House doesn't allow guns, because they know guns do not make us safer. They're just lying. Of course, one of the first things that came to mind is what kind of organization would celebrate something like this as a win? I mean, 3 people are dead, 2 of them innocent, one of them's a shooter. How can you call that a win? That is crazy. I mean, I'd hate to think what a loss is to them. And, it kind of reminded me of a certain skit that Chris Rock did.
I take care of my kids. You're supposed to, you dumb motherfucker. What you talking about? What you talking about? What kind of ignorant shit is that? I ain't never been to jail. What, you want a cookie? You're not supposed to go to jail, you low expectation having motherfucker.
Out of respect, I've decided I'm not going to post any audio or video of the shooting. I'm also not going to mention the shooter's name or show his picture, which is why you're seeing the picture of Louis Wayne's cats. But, I was going to talk about the shooter. He was a mentally unstable person. He was a violent person. He had a long rap sheet. And people who knew him, they didn't speak kindly about him. They said things like, he's a violent, paranoid person with a long line of assault and batteries, with and without firearms. He's a religious fanatic, says he's battling a demon. He's not nice to anybody. Someone else said, we knew he was crazy, but not like this. I don't wish this on anybody. I feel sorry for the victims. I really do. And remember, the NRA put a gun in this guy's hand. They're against red flag laws, which would have stopped this guy. They're against, doing background checks on every single gun sale, which again would have probably stopped this guy. So, as much as I respect the man who stopped him, it's important to remember it would have been better if this guy hadn't had a gun in his hand in the first place. I refuse to glorify the shooter and give him any kind of exposure, but here's Jack Wilson. He's a guy who deserves respect and honor. There's no question he's a hero, but remember, an average Joe is a lot more common than a hero. So, that kind of brings up the question of, okay, would this have happened normally? Would the situation have ended as quickly as it did? And I think there are several reasons why it would not, even with people with guns. For example, Jack Wilson was actually watching the shooter. And because he was watching him, he was also relatively close to the shooter, and he was able to react quickly and take him down with one shot. But remember, he wasn't just some guy who had bought a gun, a couple weeks ago. This is a guy with a lot of shooting experience. Shooting which, by the way, the NRA is against making sure that people can operate a firearm competently before buying one. Also, he did not freeze or hesitate, which doesn't always happen. And he did not miss and kill a bystander, for example. So when you combine this analysis with the shooting statistics, you realize, yeah, this is the exception. This is not the rule. If this were the rule, then the U.S. would have way lower shooting deaths than other countries, but it's the opposite. It's kind of like when you watch a basketball game and you see someone throw the ball, seconds before the buzzer, and he makes the basket, from the other side of the court. Everybody knows that that's a difficult shot to make. Everybody knows that more often than not, they won't make it. And I think that's the most important thing to realize right now. With that video, You know, it's the exception. It's not the rule. Remember, this is the best case scenario, and 3 people are dead. And I want to close out the video by showing you a shot of someone making a really difficult basket.
Because they knew they were going to use that foul. This is probably the real play they want to run.
Hornets got it